This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. We'll call to order the Warren County Election Board meeting of February 10th. The first order of business, oh, by the way, this meeting is being recorded. The first order of business is the approval of both the December 23rd minutes as well as the impromptu January 27th minutes.
I've reviewed those and I'll make a motion to have those approved.
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve both minutes. All those, any questions, comments, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Old items of discussion. Lisa, would you lead us through the two topics today? Number one is, again, rehashing the Warren South precinct and then vacancies of elected positions.
Basically, I'm going to leave it to Jeff to discuss the polling place situation. I know he's had a conversation with Bob Rabel, and that's about all I know about that right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, just to follow up, I had sent an email to everybody kind of sharing the information on my conversation with Mr. Rabel at EOC. And essentially, the situation is that the reason that it was moved originally was an expansion in the building of office space. And so the space that was normally utilized for elections is filled with at least one, if not two desks and personnel there that have to be moved for each election. Now with COVID, in the short term, that space is filled with equipment from the other rooms because they have to expand the space in order to have social distancing for the children and a number of other things. So from my perspective, it is at least certainly this election cycle practically impossible to utilize that space for an election. And I would say that it's going to be a real challenge to do it even in the future. That said, at the same time, did some research on the distance to the Days Inn, for instance, for the travel for folks that would be voting in that location, and it is actually a shorter distance than the folks in on the northern precinct in the city of Warren have to travel to get to Holy Redeemer. So from my perspective, they would not be in a more difficult position than some of the other polling precincts in the city where they would have to travel a short distance to vote at the Days Inn. So it's my recommendation at this time that we approve the Days Inn as a polling location, that we have Lisa and Pam reach out to them after this meeting in order to secure that location, which I don't think it'll be a problem, as they were willing to have us there last year, which was obviously a much bigger production, or would be a much bigger production. So that's my recommendation.
Now, I believe Attorney Schmidt had indicated that we had to get actually, is Attorney Schmidt on?
Yeah, I'm here, Commissioner.
Okay. Do you have any comment then?
Well, I have a few. I appreciate Commissioner Eggleston reaching out to Mr. Rabel on this. The Board of Elections last year made accommodations for different polling places as a result of COVID. I can appreciate that if there are issues that have come up due to COVID, make things not practical or possible, then at least in the short term, I can understand finding a location other than that school. I unfortunately, I would have to recommend against the Days Inn at this point, simply on the fact that the election code prohibits voting to take place in buildings where there are liquor licenses. I would, or where alcohol is served, I would. I've done a brief amount of investigation. I've looked into this as well and brought it to the board's attention. The city of Warren's sewer treatment plant has an office. It has a conference room. that could probably accommodate the voting. It's closer than the Days Inn. It's within the South Side District. My recommendation is to ask the Board of Elections to contact the city, ask about the availability of that building for this election cycle. So that's my position.
Just as a follow-up to that, the county has contacted the city about that building, and this was during the prior election, and they were pretty adamant that the space is not adequate to conduct an election in.
Is it, so it says it's the building in which liquor is served? Because I think if we took the space that's the conference room, it's not really in this, I mean, it's in a separate location than where you would serve liquor.
It's on the other side of the same wall, though.
It is on the other side of the same wall, that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, the idea would be is that the door would be locked. It would be sectioned off. I mean, if somebody from the community really wanted to make a issue out of it, I could see being concerned about that, but I doubt that anybody is going to have an issue with there being a bar on the other side of the building. No one is going to be consuming alcohol or have the availability of alcohol in the election space.
I mean, so are we kind of back to the drawing board and looking at other alternatives? Are there any other hotels in that particular area that don't serve alcohol that would have conference rooms big enough? If that's our only hurdle to utilizing a space like that, I guess I would ask Nathaniel, Attorney Schmidt, if that is the only hurdle to utilizing that space, given the fact that we can't seem to find any space that's used for as part of a public building.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the face of it, that's the most patent shortcoming. I think the board would be advised to find a building in an adjacent polling district that was more similar to a schoolhouse, a municipal building that more clearly fit within the terms public. So that's my recommendation. I have advised the board based on my research. There's not a lot of case law that interprets public building, but that would be my recommendation. The only case that I found on this was that a college or a university is considered an appropriate polling place. Even if it's not, for example, a university is not controlled by a local school board. So this is my opinion based on the options that were presented to me. So I can look into whatever else the board would have me look into as far as options go. I've left the searching for potential sites to the board to track down, but I can look for options as well. But the board's had my opinion, so that's all I can say.
Well, the thing that's nice about the Days Inn is I believe there's two entrances, right? So you could have an entrance only and an exit only side of things in our conference room.
The conference rooms are separated. Again, we would lock the door. It would be a separate space, and there's plenty of parking, and there's plenty of access from the highway. I don't know that you're going to find a better location than that. That said, I've done everything that I can do on it, so this is what I'm proposing. If the board doesn't feel like that's appropriate, I would authorize Attorney Schmidt to find a better location and then have him present it that accommodates all of the kind of issues that he's trying to address. I don't think that the alcohol issue is from my perspective, really a concern. I think that everybody will be happy with the space. And I would just suggest just moving forward with that. Either way, I would say that if there's an alternative, it should be presented within the next couple of weeks, because this needs to be figured out as soon as we can. And I'm sure Lisa probably feels the same way.
Absolutely. We need to find a home for them that they can be in permanently.
I'll be happy to help, and I'll work with Lisa and whoever else would like to assist, and then, you know, in compliance with the requirements of the election code. I acknowledge this has been a challenge for everybody, especially during COVID. It would be nice to find a long-term place because of COVID. Places that don't normally occupy, you know, host voting. When you pose the question about whether hosting voting activities is practical, you know, I can see a lot of parties just thinking that that's not a word that comes to mind when they think about this kind of endeavor. There's very little about COVID that's practical, but even with that challenge in mind, I will do my best to. My goal is to initially, you know, secure a temporary location or recommend one to the board.
So, the prior location was at Holy Redeemer. No, it was at the school, South Street School. Is that correct?
The Seneca, the Head Start building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the First Church of the Nazarene?
If I might, we could really get into the weeds on this.
Yes,
I
you're
think
right.
probably best if you have ideas to just talk to Attorney Schmidt or Lisa offline.
Sounds good. What is our time frame on all of this? If we don't make a decision until next month, does that work?
Yeah,
How
I mean,
about
we'd have to
Work-
get all the things changed and cards out to people and, you know, those kind of things. But I mean, I'd say the sooner the better.
let's say work session on the 22nd, give a status update and a sense of where we're heading, and then we can make it official the first meeting of, you know, the next meeting.
I think that's a good idea.
That's acceptable.
So, okay,
Okay.
everyone's clear? Good deal. The second item, Lisa, is that you?
Yep. So I've identified all the vacancies in the precincts and I've passed that along to you guys. I guess the next step would be to nominate people or whatever the word you want to use to get those offices filled for this year's elections. I have lost a few judge of elections in the last month or so. One I'm really sad about because he did such a good job, but he's chose no longer to do it. So, but that was one that was not an elected position. So I guess would the next step be to get names and put them before the judge or what?
I think that's a question for Attorney Schmidt. So this is
Sure.
the spreadsheet that was also sent to the parties, correct?
It was sent to both parties and it was sent to you guys.
I mean, Lisa, my recollection of the election code would be that it's the initiative of mainly the individuals, but I think to file the petitions, perhaps the Board of Elections can assist in that in cooperation with the political parties.
What petitions are you referring to?
Are you? I'm just referring to the petitions for the you're talking about the current vacancies. Are you talking
Yes.
about? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay, but we don't have petitions for those.
Right.
We should be encouraging people to run for those positions, correct?
Right.
We're
Right.
we got to talk about the vacant elected posts that would
That's the
normally
main
be appointed the day, like the week before the election. What we need is to have names to present to the judge or we need to engage with the judge to discuss what her position is on it as well, because technically the president judge should be appointing people to those positions. All of the other ones are I'm trying to think of what the best term is, at the discretion of the election board. So the election board would appoint the ones that are not elected.
Right, that's correct. Under 10 days prior to the election, the Board of Elections has the right to appoint people to the vacancies. Outside of the 10 days, further than 10 days ahead of the election, it would be by petition to the judge. There's a posting requirement that is included where the petitioner has to post notice within their voting district that they're running for this open vacancy, but that it's still an appointment by the judge. I will forward to you, the board and to Lisa a copy of the appropriate statute that applies. And however,
should I like get a hold of Judge Skirta and maybe have a conversation with her and see what she's going to require?
My recommendation would be that we have the solicitor and the elections director engage in a conversation with the judge in order to move all of this forward, because they should be able to handle that in its entirety with little input from us.
Agreed.
I concur with that. I think that's a good idea as far as appointees to move forward in this particular situation.
Because
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think a consolidation. I think some amount of coordination with people who want to be appointed, and with the court to conserve their resources. And some kind of proposed timeline would be helpful, I'm sure, for the court.
And so many of these people have been working these positions for a while now, so I can't see them saying, no, I don't want to, unless they honestly just don't want to. I mean,
Right.
Like I said, I lost the judge of elections in Sheffield. I lost the judge of elections in Conewago 1. I don't know who else at this point. I know some of the current ones are not planning on running, but there again, we won't know that until the petition process is over on March 9th.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The
other thing I'd like to add to this, guys, would you mind writing up in a procedure in a standard template form that we've been using exactly how this goes, so that we don't have to rehash this again and again?
Yes, I would be glad to spell that out.
Okay, good. So again, if you could give us an update on the 22nd, and then if you need us to do anything, we can really weigh in at the next election board meeting.
Very good.
Sounds good.
The only other piece that I just wanted some clarity on from Lisa is you are also talking about positions that are not elected, right?
What do you mean not elected? Like the machine operators, the clerks and stuff?
Yes.
No, I'm just talking about the judge and the inspectors of election, because those are the only ones that are elected. The rest we can just fill in as needed, I would think, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
All right.
Anything more related to the election meeting?
I do not have anything.
All right. Then we will close the election board meeting. Thank you, everyone. And now we'll call to order the commissioners meeting of February 10th. We will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance due to the challenges doing that online, but would ask that you take a moment of silence. Thank you. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. Since the last time the board met, I believe we did have an executive session, did we not? Last Monday, the 1st?
We had one yesterday. And we had one on the 1st, yes.
And yesterday was exempt due to the land proposition clause, and the one on the 1st that had to do with a bunch of different things, pending
litigation primarily.
Yep. Okay, and missed anything? Hearing none. You'll see that we did get a letter from the DCED about CDBG funds. No surprises there, but no surprises is a good thing. This time I'll ask if there's any public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to bring any issues that they want to before the Board of Commissioners. All right. Hearing none. On the agenda today, we have hospital board appointments, repository tax bids, the millage rate, an agreement for healthcare, a multi-year maintenance agreement with Motorola, and the liquid fuels allocation. Is there anything that I missed getting on the agenda that we talked about on Monday? All right. Have you had a chance to review the minutes from January 27th? And if there are no comments or corrections, I will ask Riley Enlow to do the finance report.
All right, as of, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, as of 2/8, the general fund account was $2,605,147. Erie Bank savings account was $1,244,615 with a grand total of $3,849,762. Payroll for this week was $369,499.27. Accounts payable is roughly $200,000. I'm not finished with it yet. And health insurance was $263,469.96. It will leave the general fund balance at $2,847,407.15.
Very good. Any questions?
Thanks, Riley.
Oh, Riley, while we have you at this point, why don't we talk quickly about the budget right now? I know that we had talked about a couple things that then didn't get correctly uploaded into the system. Could you give some background on that again?
Okay, so for the 911 center, there are some utility lines that were showing up as zero. The law library account wasn't allocated. There was about $48,000 in expenses for the law library account, and that wasn't allocated to any of the budget lines. So it was basically just completely missed. And talking with Linda Kreiser, she's saying that it shouldn't be part of her budget. So I was just requesting it to come out of the contingency reserve account instead of reinstalling a whole new budget. I think that may mess things up financially on our side. Since I've already put AP in the system, I might have to back everything out and then put it back in there. So I was just requesting everything to come out of the contingency reserve account.
Yep. So this is kind of standard, but this is one of the first years we've actually successfully done this early in the process rather than towards the end of the year. So thank you very much for bringing this to the attention now, Riley. And since there's a budget change, but there's no overall budget change. I think we can just pass that as part of the consent agenda unless there's objection.
No, I think we looked at that last time as far as what changes could be made and percentages and things like that. So I'm perfectly fine with making it part of the consent agenda and the finance report.
Okay, very good. Kim Exley, can you give us an HR report, please?
Yes, good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Changes for employees as of February 1st of 2021. New hires for Warren County, Abigail Hanson, effective January 4th of 2021. She is a part-time clerk, deputy register recorder at a starting rate of $16.29. Total rate for the year is $33,792.36. Jeffrey Carlson started in the jail as a part-time corrections officer, effective January 4th, 2021, at a starting rate of $14.41, making a total compensation package of $15,496.85. Robert Warren started at Human Services as a Children and Youth Caseworker 1, effective January 6th, 2021, at a starting rate of $16.29 per hour and a total compensation package of $57,505.38. Amber Summers joined our Domestic Relations Office as an intake clerk effective January 11th, 2021 at a rate of $13.75 for an overall total of $51,975.36. Mary Moynihan joined the Veterans Affairs Office as a part-time clerical effective January 12th, 2021 at a starting rate of $13.75. For a total compensation package of $14,787.07. Jennifer Brown, Human Services, effective date January 25th, 2021, as an EIID Clerk Typist 2 with a starting rate of $12.88. Total compensation package $50,081.21. Changes for the county. Christopher Bimber went from a part-time corrections officer to a full-time corrections officer at the jail, effective January 1st, starting rate of $14.41 an hour for a total compensation of $55,503.83. Stephanie Eastman was appointed as the register recorder, effective January 4th for an annual rate of $59,816.62. Total compensation is $88,824.46. Brian Zabel was sworn in and appointed as the sheriff effective January 4th, 2021. Annual rate of $56,487.02. Total compensation $85,106.96. Separations from the county include Jason Wooden effective December 31st. Unfortunately, I did not have this information in my possession when we did the other HR report last month, so I'm adding it this time. He was a part-time sheriff's deputy. He was not eligible for pension. Eric Hearn vacated the Director of Finance and Administration position effective January 8th. He was not pension eligible. Joseph Lent vacated the full-time telecommunicator position at Public Safety effective January 11th, 2021. He was not pension eligible. And Ryan McCosco left Human Services as an EI caseworker effective January 26th, 2021. He was not pension eligible. Current open positions within the county are part-time and full-time sheriff deputies. We have multiple. Full-time E91 telecommunicator. We have one part-time finance administrator position. We have one director of finance and administration position. I did have on here one GIS technician position. However, an offer has been extended to someone and has been accepted, so we can remove that from this. Chief County Detective, that's a part-time position, and that's one. Official Court Reporter, one. That position will be vacated in early spring, and it has been posted. And then a pretrial officer, one. That's it.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Kim?
Kim, could I recommend just making a little bit of a change to the report so that we know if the new hires were budgeted positions? I'm assuming they all are.
Yes, they were all, but yes, I can. Do you want me to make another column?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. Sure, I'll have that change in effect for next time.
Nope, lots of changes. I guess that's consistent, huh?
It happens. Yep, no problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem with that change, but obviously they'll all be budgeted. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
Department updates. You have before you tax claim, elections, public safety, planning and zoning. If any of the directors are on that want to comment on the reports they submitted, they're welcome to at this time. Otherwise, we'll let them stand as is. I'm sorry, we have CYS as well. Okay, hearing none, I believe we're at the point where I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, new business. We have a request from the Warren General Hospital to appoint 2 board members to the hospital authority. Bear with me as I pull this up. Mr. John Bowler and Mrs. Jean Walker. Any questions? I'd ask for a motion to appoint Mr. Bowler and Mrs. Walker for 5-year terms.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, tax claim repository bids. SH 3549534 in Sheffield, owned by the Laufenbergers, bid on by Brittany Breon for $1,010. WN 5754176 in the city of Warren, formerly owned by Frank Geiger, a bid on by James Bailey for $2,000. YV 003115700 Sugar Grove Township, currently owned by Shirley Haluska and bid on by Robert and Teresa Brown for $250. WN 1424446 in Farmington Township, owned by John Lutkin, bid on by Daniel Mayer for $250. TV 0031361 in Eldred Township, owned by Ivan Sheldon, bid on by Daniel Mayer for $250. TD 005539900 in Limestone Township, owned by Jeff and Joyce Wenzel, bid on by Emily Hesse for $500. TD 00553990006, owned by Jackson and Karen Coletta, bid on by Caitlin Hesse for $500. And then finally, SH 3549374 in Sheffield Township, owned by Victor and Tamara Earl, bid on by Brittany Breon for $1,100. Do I have a motion to approve these tax sale repository tax bids based on the authority vested in us from the real estate tax law?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Forgive me as I scroll around trying to get back to where I was. The next thing on the agenda is the millage rate for the 2021 tax year. There's, as we previously have stated at the end of 2020, no tax increase. This would remain at a real estate tax millage rate of 21.75. Again, this is just a formality so that we can have a certificate and the assessment office can start making up their figures and the tax duplicates. I'd ask for a motion to approve that tax rate.
I'll make the motion to approve that tax rate.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Oh, am I allowed to ask a question real quick? This is Wendy McCain.
Sure.
I just want to, so this is a tax increase for what? And is this already something that was approved?
It is not a tax increase.
Okay,
It is the same millage rate as it was last year.
okay,
So we passed the budget in late December of 2020 for the 2021 budget. And then one of the first things we're supposed to do in the beginning of the new year is to confirm the millage rate. So this is really just a formality. We already
Okay.
passed the budget last year. This is essentially
Thank you.
letting our assessment office know this is the millage rate you should create the tax bills for.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
So
No problem. Thank you.
we were very diligent in the budget process so that, and very careful, particularly considering COVID and the changes in employment here, to try to make sure we kept that tax rate the same.
Okay, anything further on this? And I'm sorry, we have the motion. So all those in favor of the millage rate as presented, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Next, we have an agreement for inmate health care. Pam, did you want to explain the background of this?
We have had an agreement with Dr. Lonnie Heater for the past, I believe, 4 years. He provides the health care for our inmates in our prison system, and he also supplies a full and part-time nurse. He does 24-hour care if we need him to come in. And this is an increase from last year's contract of about $2,000.
Or 2%, is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Any questions? There were no other substantive changes year over year, correct?
No, there are not.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the health services agreement?
Sure, I'll make that motion to approve the health services agreement with Lonnie Heater.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I believe I'll turn the floor over to Ken McCorson, Director of Public Safety, regarding a Motorola agreement.
Hello, Commissioners. Ken McCorson here. The paperwork in front of you is from Motorola Services. It's for the radio equipment in our server room that has to do with our new P25 radio system. So this agreement keeps all the service packs upgraded, infrastructure repair. It covers the on-call maintenance workers that would have to come here and work on the equipment. This is something that we typically have on all of our radio equipment. We typically have them year to year. We are proposing the multi-year contract that saves us $14,000. And I do have to say, Bill Gallagher spent a lot of time with the original proposal for them and was able to save us about $20,000 a year for the length of this agreement. So basically this picks up where our warranty left off.
So it's a decrease over previous years. We normally like 50,000 a year, right?
That is accurate. It was normally around 50. This is less. And we also broke out our other agreements we have in the past.
Okay. Any questions? It is budgeted,
I have
right?
a question.
Correct. That's a budgeted item.
Mr. Scully, you're recognized.
Yes. My question is to Ken is we have to keep preventive maintenance programs in effect to salvage our equipment that he bought down at the 911 center. I believe that it should be a requirement to keep all preventive maintenance in effect so that we have the proper maintenance on the equipment that you spent quite a few dollars with a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. We have a very active 911 center, and I don't think they can afford to lose getting something repaired when we don't have an agreement with somebody. So yes, I believe preventive maintenance programs, which I feel this is one of them, should be continued. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Joe. If there's no questions, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve the agreement. Tricia, I could hear you through the wall, but you're muted.
Let's try that again. I'll make the motion to approve the multi-year maintenance agreement with Motorola.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. All right, next, resolution 3,175 for the 2021 liquid fuels applications. As you're probably well aware, many counties get liquid fuels monies, and they also own bridges and roads. In Warren County, we are blessed to not own the bridges and roads, but we still get the allocation, which is proportional. And since we do not, we give it as a gift to the municipalities. And so at this time, I'd ask if Pam, you wanted to say anything about how you created this formula.
The formula is based on per capita road miles in each municipality. And then it is estimated as to how much we're going to get. We're dispersing a total of $123,047, of which it breaks down to $105,000 for liquid fuels and $18,047 for the bridge inspection that the municipality's cost is being reduced out of their contribution, and we're making that up back to them.
All right. Last year, obviously, this fund took a big hit due to decreased travel since the fund comes to us through the gas tax, I believe. We anticipated it being lower than in previous years, as we assume that the 2020-2021 season will be down as well, but maybe not as far down, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you'll see the schedule before you as to what's going to what municipality, and again, it's formulaic. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve resolution 3175.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 3175.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. And all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. We are done with the new business of the day. Lights of Love visual was brought up the last meeting. As a reminder, that's Friday evening, February 19th at 7 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church here in Warren. Are there any other commissioner comments?
No, that the purpose of that is to join in a visible demonstration to support for all those lives who've been ended or altered by COVID-19. I believe by this juncture, we probably either have all known someone or know of someone who knew someone who was impacted. So this has had a pretty widespread impact on our community. I'm hopeful that we can show that support by going out and supporting this particular event.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the commissioners generally?
Captain, my question is to you, to the Board of Commissioners. Are you gonna talk about eventually the reappraisal of property? I'm thinking what effect that will have on the LERTA program I read in the paper that the school district would like to have you reappraise properties, and then they will consider what they want to do with the LERTA program. You know, Mr.
Mhm. Well,
Just to speak for a moment on the LERTA program, I think that the kind of concept that it's contingent or tied into that, I think is a bit confused. There might be there might be individuals on the school board that are interested in that, but we've gotten no indication of that as a board. The LERTA bit is something that's a separate issue, and it's something that we're continuing to try to work through with the school board in order to move forward, regardless of whether there was a reassessment or not. The LERTA program is important to, push growth. I know, Joe, you were one of the people that spoke on it when we went to the school board, so you're supportive of it, and that's something that we're going to continue to try to push for, especially since there's so many municipalities that are in support of it.
All right. Thank you very much.
For my part, the November, I believe it was, or December COG meeting, that was one of the topics that was brought up as an initiative of the COG, and I think that's an appropriate place for us to discuss that because the school board was represented, many municipalities were represented, the county was represented, and it's a public meeting. So I'm not ready to speak on exactly what the county would do related to reassessment, but I am going to say that I'm interested in waiting until we can finish that conversation at the COG before we make any determinations on even how we'll begin to broach the subject.
I'll make sure it's brought up at the next COG.
I'm sure.
Thank you very much for your response.
Thank you. Anything further? I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that.
All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.